Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters of the Week video. Thought I would mix one of these in while I'm continuing the Mysteries and Disappearances video. I'm also going to do a whole bunch of live streams throughout the next week while I'm on vacation. That way it'll give a great chance to share this vacation with all of you out there, and then I get to see your comments and everything else at the same time. It's going to be amazing. I even enabled something called Super Chats, which I have to look into more, which I guess is primarily geared for live streams, so let's see how that goes as well. But yes, indeed, this random suggestion, this random entry, is yet again just a random page from the cryptids.wikia.com website, and it has to do with one of the strangest cryptids yet. All in all, essentially, it's another one of those childlike tales, monster tales, that parents probably told to children throughout several generations to try to get them to stay quiet. But otherwise, it does provide some very interesting information. It makes it wonder, there may be a chance that, who knows, this cryptid still may be out there in Brazil. And it has to do with this. You're looking at it now. Obviously, this is something that stands out far more than a lot of the other cryptids that I mentioned in the past. Its name is the Quibungo. So let's go ahead and let's talk about all the information, the very, very unique information associated with this bizarre looking cryptid. So what is this Quibungo? Well, again, if you wanted to sum it up in one simple thing, it's just basically another child's tale, one of those tales that you would tell at night to a child to keep them from doing something bad. And that's because this thing apparently primarily goes after children, and in some cases bad children, like children who decide to do bad things. But other tales associated with it also describe it going after others, women, men, even small animals, for example. Where to find this Quibungo? You basically have to go to the Congo and then another area called Angola. And when you go there, that's where these tales seem to permeate of this Quibungo. In fact, when I was looking up information online, it seems like there was a lot of web pages that were in a foreign language, probably no doubt like a Brazilian language, something like that. Very reminiscent to Spanish, because I can read, write, and understand Spanish and speak it. Very close to it, but still not just quite. And then when I was using that information, it came like this. Like, apparently this thing, again, is told to children, and in some cases it's sung, much like the weird tales that you hear here in America with regards to tales to English, like Ring Around the Rosie and then others out there. This thing also has its own unique tales, and then hearing the information for it in the way it was sung, it basically goes like this. This thing can be interpreted, its name, as being known as a robber or invader, because that's his whole thing. This Quibungo basically comes in to a household, tries to get in either with tricking someone, or it forces itself within the household. And when they do so, here's what the people find. They essentially find a half man, half beast. So this is a humanoid looking monster. It looks almost like a human, except in some cases it seems to have like a large amount of fur on it, and maybe in other cases even more so, like with regards to its face, like it's less human in that regard. But clearly the biggest thing associated with it, other than its taller than usual height, happens to be on the back of it a gigantic hole. This hole is not a hole. This is actually like something straight out of the movie The Thing. Remember that famous scene where the guy is trying to bring someone to life on a table, starts putting those shock things on the chest. Suddenly the chest opens up as a mouth, and then it devours the guy's arms. Such is the case here. This hole that is within the back of its back is actually a mouth. It's a mouth filled with teeth. It's another portion of its head. It just happens to be within the back part of this animal's body. And sure enough, just like any other mouth, it has teeth, teeth, it has a tongue, it has anything that it can use to try to bring in its prey, and then that's what it mainly uses to devour its food. And its food can again consist of anything: small children, women, men, and in other cases small animals. And then how it acts is this: it primarily tries to get into places by tricking people into doing so. Those sing-song like verses that I was reading made it seem like this: this Quibungo will knock on a door, and then in a light voice, almost like an innocent like voice, will try to ask nicely. If someone answers, especially a woman, try to say that they were sent by her husband to come inside. And when the woman is not really agreeing to it, then they try to come up with another excuse to do so. Some cases they win, like they're able to convince the person that yes, they are there for a legitimate reason. Then the door opens, and then that's when of course they see the Quibungo. Other cases, the thing just adamantly just charges in, breaks the door down, and then it's able to confront the people inside. And it's pretty ruthless from what it appears. Like, this thing knows how to attack. Maybe it uses its large body, maybe it uses other forms of just brute force. Whatever is the case, it is able to take upon the prey, probably knocking out the larger prey first. In this case, either the man or the woman, and then it goes after its preferred victims. In this case, the children. But there's something that's the opposite effect on this creature. Even when it's confronted by smaller prey, it's perfectly fine. But when it's confronted by more dangerous prey, like in this case, let's say someone comes at it with a gun or some kind of weapon or something else that seems like it could just cause any kind of harm to the Quibungo, just like this, just like a snap of a finger, that's when its fearsomeness just basically goes out the door. It becomes very cowardly. When I was reading that info, it was surprising to read. Like, it'll basically shrivel up in a corner and almost beg, because it can talk in the same language of the people that it's trying to eat. It begs to them, to please let it go. Like, all of a sudden it starts whimpering, it starts cowering, it starts crying. A very, very cowardly display, far different from just a few moments ago when it was just showing some kind of fear, and making them people show fear, and then also looking very intimidating, just like a monster would. But no, in this case, no. All of a sudden, whenever, like that saying goes, when the rabbit has the gun, then it's just a whole different story. This thing is just basically there whimpering on the side. And in those cases, that's it. You can pretty much harm it any which way whatsoever with whatever weapon you have. And when it dies, it's supposed to go out screaming. Just a pathetic, just cowardly scream up until it dies at that point. Very interesting stuff, though, when it comes to this Quibungo. It does seem like it's just something to try to keep, again, children out there, prevent them from going out there on their own, wandering around. One of those tales where, like, kind of like La Llorona, don't go too far into the side by the river, otherwise she'll get you. Or in other cases, like the Duende or others that are out there throughout various parts of the world. Here, though, you have something that apparently invades the home itself, and in those cases, as long as you have something that we are able to make sure that it knows that you are nothing in terms of an innocent prey. Like here, you have something where you can turn things on it and basically become a danger to itself. Then that's when this thing is just so cowardly. Interesting stuff. I wonder if there are any more recent tales associated with this Quibungo. Who knows, though, because the best classification of this creature is more than the lines of a legend. It does seem like this is something that was just passed down for who knows how many generations there in the Congo, and then to this day probably just has continued to be passed down, but no real proof, no physical proof, no photographs, nothing in terms of videos, nothing along those lines, just interpretations like the ones you've seen here in pictures throughout several other I guess generations. So, but that's pretty much it. That's all the information associated with this unique creature, this lullaby of sorts, something that is just told to make children comply to parents' demands. If anyone has knows any more info about this creature, anybody there from the Brazilian area, maybe you happen to be there from a family standpoint, or you happen to work there, or even come by from a tourist standpoint. If anybody knows any more information about this Quibungo, please post those comments below. That would be really, really great to hear. So, alright everybody, thank you again as always, and again, please look out for my upcoming live streams coming up for this week. I'm planning on making them more mainstream, more common on my YouTube channel, just based on past successes with them. So it'll be a good chance, maybe on a weekly basis I'll start doing like an hour live stream on a weekly basis, just to get to know you guys more closely, and you in turn get to know me more closely as well. So let me know what you guys think. So alright everybody, thanks again as always, take care.